Welcome to the Earnestly podcast. I'm your host, EJ Christian, coming to you on a nippy Wednesday. It's our third show, I believe, or fourth show of 2019. On the line, of course, every week we check in, especially during the NFL season, with our man Kyle F. and Nash, Studio the Game. Here's our Studio Game report. Kyle, Wildcard Weekend in the books. Did you enjoy it?
Oh, yeah, man. Hey, no, listen, you and I were expecting a pretty badass week of football, and really only one of these matchups was, air quotes, out of control. I mean, the Colts and Texans were the only game that was decided by more than a touchdown.
Right.
So, yeah, a great weekend of football all the way around, and I hope your house is back in order, man. What can I say?
Yeah, everything's back in order. It was a good weekend. It was a great weekend. I think 3 to 4 games lived up to the hype. Obviously, you mentioned the Colts and Texas being the only one that really didn't, live up to the hype. But again, and we'll get into in a second. Let's touch on first on the Monday game, national championship game. College football's over this year. Clemson shocks the world, and it's not shocking that they won the game because I saw a lot of the people who put Clemson win the game. But the way the result had, like, Alabama was really never in this game after the second quarter. Like, Clemson was in control pretty much all the way through. Even when Alabama came back and in the first quarter, the first half, and responded to touchdowns and scores like Clemson, it never really felt like Clemson felt like Clemson from the word go was in control, knew what they were going to do, and in the late in the first half and then into the rest of the game, they just took control of the game, and that was it. So it wasn't necessarily the result, but the way the result played out. Your thoughts on the national championship game and just everything you saw?
Oh, well, golly, EJ, does this mean that Notre Dame does belong now? I'm just asking. I mean, does this mean that Oklahoma belongs even less? I just, God, what a wacky bowl season just in general, though, man. Like, all the teams that got blowed out, and then the ones that didn't are the ones, that got the most flack in the regular season in the form of the UCF Knights there. I'm a little, listen, man, this bowl season was crazy. Why not finish it up by the unexpected beatdown of the Alabama Crimson Tide? And listen, for all these people who are already out there, the knee-jerkers of the world that you and I both have, unfortunately, on our friends list on Facebook, stop with the down with the Alabama trash and stop with this bullcrap about the ACC being the best conference. Just because you got the championship team doesn't mean you're the best conference. Listen,
so annoying,
give
man.
Clemson credit. Great team, and name somebody else on that conference that's worth a damn. You can't, okay? Pittsburgh's a division winner, for crap's sake. Get off me about that, okay?
Exactly.
Stop. At me all you want. I'm more than happy to prove you wrong, but stop it.
I think the bigger problem, Kyle, is this. When we discuss conferences and how strong a conference is, I think people don't understand how to defend the argument. I think people think that if Alabama alone wins the national championship or Clemson alone wins the national championship, that automatically, because that one team won a championship, it automatically vaults that conference as the best conference in college football. That is dead wrong. Okay, we said for years, the New England Patriots have been a dynasty, but the AFC East has been one of the worst divisions in football for the last 15 years. I mean, that's just a fact. Okay, in this case, the ACC has been relatively weak this year. Forget relatively, it's been arguably the worst conference of the Power 5 conferences. It's been probably, if not the worst conference in all college football this year. Okay. How you judge a conference isn't about the one team singularly. It's about the amount of actual good teams you have in your conference, okay? And the SEC still has that, period, end discussion. So the fact that people are actually discussing this about because the Clemson Tigers won a national championship, the ACC, no. The ACC was arguably worse than the Pac-12 this year. And the Pac-12 had no representation in the college football playoff, okay? But that doesn't mean that they had better teams across the board, than the ACC, which I can argue did, outside Clemson. So we need to, when we make those arguments, not you and I, because you and I are on the same page with this one, we need to make the argument correctly. People do not make the argument correctly at all, and that's why it gets skewed.
Well, right. If you're going to make the argument that the SEC is inferior, the bowl games are probably your best defense in the postseason here. But there's other mitigating factors there, obviously. But, yeah, who wins a national championship is not among them. I'll leave it at that.
Exactly. Trevor Lawrence. Damn, that boy's good. He's good.
I mean, we're suddenly interested in him now. Like, was his name this big during the season?
Well, to be fair, he came in middle of the year. I mean, remember he wasn't the starting quarterback when the year started. And there was still a lot of question marks whether he can get the job done. And he has played well throughout this stretch, but I think there was still a lot. I think a lot of it too also is because there's a lot of doubt with Clemson, even when they won the conference. Is Clemson for real? Because Clemson struggled a little bit through the year, even though we were unbeaten. And there was a lot of speculation whether Clemson actually get this far until maybe the last couple of weeks. That's probably why the apprehension across the board of Clemson, anything involving Clemson, was out there. That being said, the kid is really, really good. He's only a freshman. We got 2 more years to this guy. I'm going to say right now, in a small vacuum, based on what he did this year and what I expect the next couple of years, because a lot of players are returning to the school next year and the year after, he might be the best quarterback prospect going forward since Andrew Luck.
I mean, that's what we're starting to hear. And I'll say this, the apprehension surrounding Clemson goes back to what we just had. The made people apprehensive. Now, to Trevor Lawrence's credit, the one game in conference where they really mightily struggled was Syracuse early on.
Yeah.
What happened there? Trevor Lawrence was injured. So, I mean, listen, I'm not saying that Sunshine at quarterback there isn't an amazing prospect. Don't get it twisted, but I mean, were they just not excited because he was a true freshman in the ACC? Maybe that's the case.
Right. And can we stop this situation to this narrative also? Oh, is Alabama in trouble now? I think the fact that this is the worst loss Nick Saban has faced since he was a Dolphins head coach only pushes the narrative how dominant he and this school has been for the last decade or so. It only puts a stamp of approval how good they are. And all this did really is show you how big a gap it is between those two schools and anybody else. Because there really isn't a third or fourth school right now that's close to those two schools right now, present day. Nick Saban, to me, still the best coach of college football, but Dabo, as of Monday night, is clearly the number 2 guy in college football.
Let me drop you something real quick.
Go ahead.
The last time that the Crimson Tide program faced a loss this big, who the opposing coach was?
That's a good question. Who is it?
It would be head coach Nick Saban at LSU.
I love that answer.
Blown.
Yes, mind blown. But I think, and especially with Dabo being number 2, I think also with Urban Meyer also, quote unquote retiring. I'm gonna still say quote unquote because I do get a feeling he'll be back in the next couple of years. But Dabo is number 2 guy now. Even with Urban was here now. Dabo number 2 guy now.
I mean, you certainly have to say that, right? I mean, for a while there was the whole thing where Colin Cowherd called Dabo fool's gold, and the Tigers won at that time. And then now this year they've been so dominant and saying they've got a lot of youth in the right places that they're going to be a factor again this year. Don't be shocked, folks, if your preseason poll has the Clemson Tigers number 1 ahead of Alabama. But Alabama will be 2. Let's not be stupid.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be 1 and 2, either school. It won't matter. Nothing's going to change. And by the way, we're going to see these 2 teams in the playoff next year again at some point, whether it's in a national championship game, whether it's going to be in the actual playoff semifinals. Because I don't see these schools dropping even a tad on number 1, and I don't see any schools making a strong case to upset the apple cart, at least next year.
Well, I'll say this: the one thing that's different about Alabama's program under Nick Saban is every national championship they've played in lately, they've had a different pair of coordinators presiding over the game as coaches. The key to Saban's success isn't so much his coaching ability, not to say that he doesn't know his X's and O's and all that other stuff, but he surrounds himself with solid assistants. And if that starts to wane in his later years here, he is one of the best-looking 66-year-olds you've ever seen. I can guarantee you that. Mm-hmm. This could be the beginning of the end. That being said, I'm not there yet to declare that.
Right. I'll tell you what, though. It is a bit depressing now that the season's over. It was a very good year. Now we got an 8-month wait. It sucks. I mean, I love college football. But
hey, speak for yourself. I'm priming up for the Shrine game on January 19th.
Oh, well, well, hey, good job. I guess you're still working, grind out here. So, grind out here. I respect it. But it is depressing though, man, because this is the one sport, college football, not so much football, college football, that when it stops on the mainstream level, it really stops. Like there really isn't much to talk about until we get to August. At least in the NFL.
Well, what do you think the draft is? I mean,
no. But I always attach that to the NFL, not to college. I always make that the NFL thing. Like the NFL.
That might be the NFL's thing, but the material provided is by college players.
No. I mean,
agree.
But what I can't discuss. I can still talk about the New York Giants in the summertime, in the spring and summertime, because there's still things left over from last year. With college football, it's hard to. Okay, we can talk Alabama, Clemson maybe a little bit to some degree, but what can we talk about with Ohio State? I don't know the new quarterback. I don't know where he comes from.
Other than the pro day,
right?
Yeah, no,
you know what I'm saying? So I mean, but it's not. And I'm talking about mainly on a mainstream level, not necessarily your brick and mortar of it all. I'm talking about this actually on a mainstream level. The conversation really dies pretty much 7 8 months.
Well, hey, listen. I think you're looking a gift horse in the mouth there. It gives you an opportunity to concentrate and focus on your relationship with the Patriots and Tom Brady.
Moving on. God, I hate you sometimes. All right. You know what? It's okay. I'll get my punch in now, because your boys, what a letdown on Saturday. Your Texans.
My Texans?
Yes,
listen,
Texans.
There's only one dude that's my boy,
Stop.
and he's a man.
You claim the guy, you claim the team. I claim Brady, you claim the
No,
team.
that's not how that works, even remote.
Hey, my show, my rules.
Okay, you better be careful with that, Mr. NBA, because I can trap you in that real quick.
That is true. I mean, I am setting a trap for myself too. But in all seriousness though, again, just like the Clemson game, not surprised that Indy won. In fact, I picked them to win. But it's the way it happened, and the Texans just look shell shocked. They look unprepared. They look unmotivated. Mm-hmm. I mean, and I'm not taking credit away from Indianapolis. They came and played and balled out. But the Texans, look, this is a team that won, 10 straight at one point this year? Turned the year around, But they're the one team in this playoff, probably the only team in the playoff total that, even though they made the playoffs, won the division, all that I feel let down in such a way that they still have a lot of work to do.
They really do. They really do. And hey, listen, give the Colts credit, man.
Yeah.
What's going on with that whole situation with the new coach and all that defense is overachieving like hell, and Darius Leonard currently has my vote as the defensive rookie of the year. Okay? You can come at me with the safety from the Chargers. You can come at me all you want to with Mika Fitzpatrick out of the Dolphins. He was one of my guys I was considering, and then I saw Darius Leonard. This guy is my pick, and I mean, as a rookie to lead the NFL in tackles in a team that is succeeding, by the way. This isn't one of those where you have Deshaun Kaiser at quarterback, so you're racking up tackles because you're on the field all the time. No, your quarterback is the comeback player of the year who's throwing the second most touchdowns in 2018. Okay, dudes, this guy's good, and that defense is the reason why they suffered. We've talked a lot on this show about how the Texans are two guys, Deshaun Watson and their big receiver, whose name I'm losing for some reason. But the point is this: the whole situation is they're two players. What, you think Lamar Miller is going to carry the ball figuratively or literally? Not really. It's not going to happen. So, I think that's the biggest whiff I had, is assuming that the Colts defense was not going to be able to handle that offense. 21 points is not a bad performance by the defense of the Texans.
Right.
But yeah.
But it was a big enough hole. If it was in the playoffs, it's a big hole.
Oh, by the way, real quick, just to make sure we're clear on one thing, Andrew Luck may be the comeback player of the year, but if it wasn't him, it would be one J.J. Watt, who has 16 sacks this year, bouncing back from injury once again.
I agree.
And the only reason why he's not leading the league in sacks is because Aaron Donald is absolutely insane.
You mean Aaron Donald, MVP candidate?
Opportunity where he's constantly double teamed.
You mean MVP candidate Aaron Donald? Let's get more love for MVP. Yeah, that guy.
I mean, the reason why I don't give him, I love that he's getting consideration, but the reason why I don't give him MVP is he is the main name on an all-star cast on that defense.
No, again, I'm not even suggesting he should win it. I'm just saying put him in the conversation. Put him in throw him in the hat. Someone's asking to throw him in the fucking hat. I mean,
I put his name in there ahead of, say, Drew Brees'.
The guy's getting double teamed. Okay, at a position where you don't get sacks.
Well, right.
I mean,
he's not getting double teamed like he used to with Ndamukong Suh on the field. Let's not be crazy. But by the same token, yeah, he's getting double teamed too.
Right. Did they play they play 3-4 or 4-3 in LA?
They kind of moved around.
Oh, okay.
But it's mostly a 4-3, I would say.
Okay. And the Colts have, even back to when Peyton Manning was the quarterback, the Colts have always been known as a soft team, if you will, a soft team because finesse, all that. But I don't know if people are noticing this. And Luck's having a great year, obviously, and you and I have launched this campaign for Luck MVP for the last 2 months now. But all of a sudden they're a running team. All of a sudden they're a team that gets nasty. The line is really, really good. I would dare say top 3 in the NFL right now.
I'm not going to go that far because that's insane. But that being said, the addition of one guard and Quentin Nelson, the first-round draft pick, did a lot more than I would have imagined. And, I had the opportunity to watch him at the Citrus Bowl, not this year, but last year when they were facing LSU in garbage weather in Orlando here. And I'll tell you what, part of the reason why they were able to move the ball, what little bit they did on the ground, was him. That being said, when the Tigers stacked the box, there's only so much they could do. But Quentin Nelson was still a standout in that situation.
Okay, well, let's attach the Colts win to their next opponent next week against the Kansas City Chiefs. What kind of chance are giving the Colts to win this game? Because I think they have a good chance. I don't think they will win the game, but I think, this will definitely be a ball game. Look, the Chiefs, give up 5 yards a game on the ground. I think the Colts pound that ball. Marlon Mack, I think there's an opportunity there. You cut down some of those possessions for Mahomes and whatnot. I think they could be in this game. But I mean, what kind of chance do you use? I think my only problem with people picking the Colts to win this game is that I think now they're making the Colts a bit more overvalued than they should be.
A bit. Here's the situation, and you're the degenerate in the room. I don't know what the spread is.
I'll tell you right now.
But if it's more than,
I think it's 7. Hold on, make sure maybe a little lower than that now. Maybe lowered. Keep going, though. I'll tell you in a second.
But if it's more than 4, I'm betting the Colts. I'm not saying they're going to win the game necessarily, but Ernest, Julius Christian, this is a shootout you have on your hands here, okay? You have Andrew Luck against a trash defense, and Mahomes against a defense that's pretty good. They're going to get their scores, obviously, because the only guy in the league who has more touchdowns than Andrew Luck with 39 is Patrick Mahomes with 50.
Oh!
Of course, that's in the regular season.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, and you're correct. And by the way, your analyst's work, without even being a degenerate, is actually spot on. The spread is 5.5. Open at 5.5. Is down to 5 now. In some places. And the over/under open at 52.5. It is now 57. So you are spot on with your analysis there.
Okay, yeah, well, and I also know that it's at Arrowhead, and you have 2 Pro Bowl caliber quarterbacks in the game. That's what's going to happen, But the situation is this, my friend. What keeps this game close isn't either offense, but rather KC's defense and or lack thereof. All the Colts have to do is get a stop or 2. That's all that Luck needs from him. If that is achieved, we have a situation just like when they played the Patriots in the regular season, the Chiefs, okay? Mm-hmm. You have whoever has the last possession is going to determine the outcome of the game. If they score in their last possession, they will, in fact, win the game. If they don't, they will lose the game. That's the kind of game you got. Like you used to see with Sheriff Peyton Manning, now you have, Captain Andrew Luck letting his sidearm loose on the field.
Right. Okay, moving on. We had the other Saturday game, of course, with the Cowboys beating the Seahawks on Saturday. I gotta tell you, it's not sexy. I don't even think he's one of the top 16 quarterbacks in the league. But I think Dak Prescott made himself a lot of money after that win against Seattle. Look, there's a lot of mechanics with him that doesn't work, and we all agree with that. but the guy, he has certain intangibles that this works for his team. And all I know is this, with this Cowboys team for 3 years as a quarterback, they've gone 13-3, 9-7, 10-6 with him under center. So there is a little bit of that, security blanket, if you will. Well, he has a solid team around him, but Dak isn't horrible. He isn't great, but he's good enough to get you over the hump. And I think the Cowboys now, after this past Saturday especially, they're stuck with him now.
Well, I'll put it this way, EJ. Friends don't let friends watch too much ESPN, and it's apparent you've been doing that. Are you aware who the leading receiver?
Go ahead.
Are you aware who the leading receiver is on the Cowboys roster at this point in time in yards?
Amari Cooper, I know. Yes.
And in how many games?
Was it 7 games?
9.
No, what?
9.
9 games. Okay, right. I thought it was like 7 games. Okay.
Yeah, he arrived after 7 weeks.
Right.
Rather. He arrived in week 7. He's played 9 games. He also leads the team in touchdowns, which tells me 2 things. A, stop defending Des Bryant for the love of Pete. B, he was actually quite a bit impacted by the departure of Jason Witten, more than Bryant.
Oh, yeah, we agree with that.
Said it. Yes, but this is more for the listening audience who can't accept the fact that Dak is better than you think, okay? Dak is not a bad quarterback. Dak is a game manager.
Agreed.
And listen, everyone forgot that he did his job to beat the Packers the last time he was in the playoffs, okay? It was Aaron Bleeding Rodgers who pulled an amazing pass out of his rear to the tight end, Cook, to keep that game away from the Cowboys. Dak did his job.
Absolutely.
Okay? And if Dak does his job again, it's going to be a formidable situation. Here's the problem. Here's who's going to actually lose the game. When it comes to the coaching, who do you believe in? Sean McVay or Jason Garrett?
Next topic. Come on now. You know the answer to that question. Everybody listens to our podcast for the last 4 or 5 years knows the answer to that question. Come on now. And it's that simple. And the reason why, and it goes to what I said back in October, the reason why I defended the Amari Cooper trade, even with the first round pick being given up, it was this. You could not evaluate Dak Prescott properly until you gave him somebody to throw the ball to.
Bingo.
That simple. And I said it then.
It really is.
And I'm saying it now. And it's worked. He has some help now. Now he can play big boy football now.
That being said, let's not be dumb. The Cowboys have done something I don't think they've done in their history to this extent. They are a defense-first football team.
Yeah, it's weird. It's really weird.
I know, right?
And I keep going back saying this thing for the last couple weeks. And our good friend James Neese, big Cowboy fan, hosts a Huddle Up podcast. And he keeps saying, yeah, you're right. And I've said this like 4 times in the last like month and a half. Imagine Tony Romo with this defense at some point in his peak years. You might have one.
It never would have happened. There was too much money commanded on the offensive side, but that's adorable. As much as listen, shouts to Big Jim Nice for everything he does. He's definitely one of the guys I miss from my old company. But the punchline is this, my friends: money is a thing. Okay, and hell, we can keep going with Tony Romo. And hey, what if the catch rules were then what they are now? The Lions never sniffed the playoffs, or the Packers, or whoever it was. I'm just saying. Let's
go back to the Seahawks real quick. Russell Wilson, I thought the Seahawks didn't call it. Look, I'm all for committing to the run all day long, but when you see spots where Russell Wilson has the ball in his hands and he's making plays, shouldn't you probably call up more plays for Russell Wilson to create instead of sticking to the run without working?
Well, I'll put it to you this way, EJ Christian. What is the weakness in the Cowboys' defense?
I would say secondary, right?
Yep. And do you run at them? That means you've been running at the strength of the Cowboys' defense, and you still only lost by 2? Yeah, you should have thrown the ball more, it seems. I'm no expert.
There you go.
That's what I'm reading.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. I mean, I know Carson had a great year, and I'm with you on that. I'm with everybody on that, but, Russell Wilson has the ball.
But who's the actual MVP of the league, second-year running potentially, according to the student of the game? I'm just saying.
Yeah, you're not the Wilson guy on this podcast now. How did this shit happen in 4 years?
I am not the Wilson guy. I am just the bringer of truth. Let's not get it conflicted.
I don't know how.
And actually,
this transformation now for the last 4 years from Wilson being we overrate him now to now being an MVP caliber player in the last 2 years. It's a great transformation. I like it.
Yeah, it's called analysis and growth in his game.
Yeah, and really happy tears. But that means, I thought Seattle blew the chance to win that game.
Happy tears.
Yeah, no, I thought Seattle blew the game here because I thought if they called more plays for Wilson to create, because he was connected on the long balls to Baldwin got one. I don't know who was it, 16. His name
Lockett.
Huh?
Tyler Lockett, who, by the way, actually leads the team in receiving yards, not Baldwin.
Yeah, I know. Baldwin was out most of the year. No, Lockett was incredible in that game, actually. Made a lot of big plays. But my point is, put the ball in your best player's hands. Period.
Saying.
Just that simple. So Seattle cost themselves a game in that way. All right, Cowboys going to L.A. on Saturday as well. What kind of chance giving the Cowboys to make have the upset? Because I can see some scenario where they win this game.
It's going to be close in the first half. McVay goes guru on people and blows it open in the second half. I got the Rams all day.
I think the same thing would be discussed with the Colts and the Chiefs. Cut possessions down. Ball control. Zeke Elliott. It will be the key to this game, obviously. If he can, like I said, if they can control the ball and cut down possessions and keep Jared Goff off the field. And I got to tell you, and look, I know he's only played one game in the playoff, which was last year. But forget the team aside. Like, in a vacuum, who do you trust right now in the spot? Jared Goff or Dak Prescott? Because right now, honestly, if you told me right now which quarterback you trust more right now in this spot, right now in one game vacuum, I'm pressed to say Dak Prescott right now.
I can't go to that place, but I'll put it to you this way to support your point in this fashion.
Yeah.
If Dak Prescott can't put up more than 200 yards on the Los Angeles Rams defense with that decimated secondary, I'll tell you what, if I'm the Cowboys front office, I'm nickel and diming his contract. I'm just saying.
I think he should do that anyway. I think that should be the case anyway going forward. But that's just me. All right.
I mean, even more so.
Oh yeah, even more so because one thing, and I think Colin Cowherd pressed this the last couple of weeks, especially on the show, was that Dak Prescott works because everything around him works properly. Dak Prescott's worked now even more the last 2 months because you got him a receiver to throw the ball to in Amari Cooper, who's now rejuvenated, and he does have weapons now. So don't tie up your money in one guy, and then you lose the ability to keep the guys around you to make you a better player. So that's I tend to agree there with the money aspect of that once he gets a new contract. Okay. So the Sunday games now, the Ravens and the Chargers. The Chargers are advancing also too. A game that was pretty much in control to the last maybe 10 minutes of the game by the Chargers. Again, these teams met 16 days prior. And not that I'm surprised the Chargers won again, but I was kind of leaning Ravens originally on this game because of what we saw in the first matchup. It's in Baltimore. Chargers going out east. All the little nuggets there that would make you pick against the Chargers. And I got to tell you, aside from the last 10 minutes of the game when they got a little too conservative and maybe should have put ice the game when they had a chance to, I was really impressed with the Chargers, how they played.
Well, and I mean, you should be too. I think a lot of that was just not being quite sure enough to trust Lamar Jackson, and then in desperation, combined with a prevent-style defense, Jackson proved he can actually move the ball a little bit. I am not as big an advocate of Lamar Jackson as a lot of other people. He does have a history of choking in big spots. Look at both of his college bowl games, by the way. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to call this so much a choke job as it was just that defense coming for that ass, as they say. And any of these morons, by the way, who want to try to tell me that Flacco would have won it, stop talking. Okay?
Exactly.
If Jackson's running for his life and escaping, ain't no way stiff-foot Flacco has anything. I'm
right. And by the way, I didn't see the, and watching that game too, I didn't see the blame on the line. Like, Lamar Jackson barely had to touch the damn ball as is anyway. There was a guy in his face immediately within the first 2 seconds of the play.
Correct.
So, and you're going to tell me Joe Flacco's going to improve that situation when he's a fucking statue back there?
Saying.
At least Lamar Jackson could extend the play. So you agree with the decision for John Harbaugh to not go to Flacco despite the struggles early?
I do.
Good.
I do. And it's nothing about Jackson's confidence. I think he still maintained the best chance to win the game. And let's be honest, they were still in it more than they should have been at the end of that contest, considering the way it started.
Ravens defense. It's played good enough to keep the game close. And again, this shows you that the Ravens now are going to officially hitch the wagon on Lamar Jackson going forward, which he's going to have to work really hard to make sure his passing game, consistency is going to be much better going forward. Because look, I like Lamar Jackson, but there's a risk here. So, and I think that'll play a large part in John Harbaugh's new contract. He's going to want more guaranteed money and more security to be able to work with Lamar Jackson moving forward.
I'll put it this way. The risk with Lamar Jackson is minimal because he's still on a rookie contract. You got a lot of old names about ready to bail and free up some money in your salary cap. This is going to be a team that's going to have an opportunity to redefine itself entirely. Look, as silly as it sounds, look for the Ravens to trend upward, especially with the craziness that's going on in Pittsburgh right now.
I would say right now, if you ask me in a vacuum, like arrows with all four teams in that division, I would say Steelers pointing down. I'd say the Ravens pointing slightly up. I don't know. We'll see how they look. If Harbaugh's team back next year, number one. Because that's still
if they get rid of Harbaugh, that's a hard arrow down for me, just for the record.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's why there's a lot of things that's still in question. The Browns.
I'm just assuming they're not that stupid to get rid of him, but I've been proven wrong before.
Here's the problem: Ozzie Newsome, who's one of the best GMs in the history of football, will no longer be there now. So we'll see. And obviously, the Browns that you say moving up in talent, although I question the decision of who they hired as head coach. We'll get to that in a second. Bengals trending down. So there's an opportunity for anybody to take that division, really, honestly, because I think Pittsburgh really is really on the verge of cracking.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Chargers going to Foxborough. I think, honestly, and for obvious reasons too, they're just a better road team than home.
Yeah, they are. What do you want me to tell you?
There's a certain edge they play to on the road, and I gotta be honest with you, like in we're supposed to say New England's win that game next week, but the Chargers of the 8 teams in this tournament left, they are probably the most complete team in the conference, maybe in the league.
That's a toss-up, but I think Melvin Gordon makes the difference to declare them the most complete. Yeah, and the Pats, they aren't what they used to be. This is not your father's Patriots team.
No, right.
And
right.
Both quarterbacks will make mistakes if pressured, and the team more inclined to produce that pressure is the Chargers based on the roster right now.
Yeah. To me, I think if they lose this game, honestly, it's because Phillip Rivers had a moment, decided to throw 4 picks. But if all things,
Belichick has imposed on this young man before, so there it is.
But all things even, they can win this game. They can win. This is the kind of team that if they play well to the top of their abilities, typically beats New England at New England. Just saying. So we'll see how it goes. This is actually the most fascinating game of the weekend, in my opinion, is Chargers and Patriots. But we'll see.
I can see that.
Yeah. All right. Final game from the Wildcard Weekend. We had the Eagles surviving in Chicago on a boink doink, boink doink. Cody Parkey missed on Sunday. This Nick Foles thing, man. And look, he didn't play great throughout the game. But again, you give the guy opportunities to make plays.
Who does against that defense? Hold on.
That's true. That's very true. I agree. But he made the plays we need to make it. And
yes.
You go 60 yards to win the game pretty much, and there you go. This Eagles team is scary, and I'm not really familiar with the situation with the injuries. They're healthier now, right, than they were in weeks past, right?
Well, they only had one way to trend, but their defense is still limited compared to week 1. But it's talking about people making plays when you need to make plays. As much as people are getting in Cody Parkey's face on social media and the like, the truth is the ball was tipped.
Yeah,
so the fact that it still was that close to clearing is a hell of a note.
Yeah. You and I got into a little bit of a squabble on text machine during the game because I was giving Mitchell Trubisky too much credit. That was fun.
Okay, great. He had a relatively decent game compared to what he normally does. I'm not prepared to anoint him like you were.
Neither am I. Again, what's been my thing all year long in this podcast with Trubisky? Now you're obviously worse off. You're not sold. Period. You've made that clear.
Listen. You've always been more knee jerk than I am.
I've said I've seen moments where you think, okay, maybe it's gonna work, and then he has a bad game here and after that.
Hell, Tim Tebow's thrown perfect passes in his pro career. Doesn't mean he was a prospect. Okay.
Yeah, but we knew Tebow was come on. Tebow had the mechanics alone gave you. I mean,
he had singular passes that were placed perfectly. But again, it's a hyperbole to demonstrate the point that while Trubisky may be a better guy mechanics-wise than Tebow, he's not the guy.
But that's a bar. That's a bar set low, of course, if you put Tebow. I think Trubisky.
Yeah, I said hyperbole.
I think my larger point is this. And watching the Bears the last couple of weeks, not just in the playoff game, but even the last down the stretch, week 15 through 17, is that he played much better. Like he played very smart football. Now you can say, yeah, Matt Nagy coached him up, and that definitely is the case. But in this game, in the playoff game, first playoff game of his career, he made some big boy throws, and I was impressed.
He did enough for me to say this, Ernest Christian. I am going to be very curious to see 2019 Mitchell Trubisky and to see if he evolves. Yeah. If he's capable of evolving, that'll be the kind of stuff we saw from Russell Chamomile Wilson after his defense and Marshawn Lynch handed him some Super Bowl wins and appearances, okay?
You know what's sad, though, about that? You just said is that now that season's over for the Seahawks, we can't use any more Russell Wilson middle name replacements.
I'll find a way.
Champagne. Remember last week? Champagne?
Yeah, that was a little bit. I didn't know what to make of that.
It's champagne, dude. Come on now. You know that.
No. I know what it is, but I was just very unprepared for it.
Chamomile. I love it. All right. Before we go, coaching updates. We got now. There were, coming into the playoffs. There were only after the end of the year. There were eight jobs openings. As of right now, there are only 3. 5 of them have been filled. Today's update, of course, Vic Fangio going to Denver. The former Bears defensive coordinator. And then we have as well the Browns upgrading offensive coordinator Freddie Kitchens as the head coach now for the Browns, which means Greg Williams not only is no longer the coach, he's no longer part of the team at all. I want to ask something real quick, the Browns thing real quick. I feel like Greg Williams, did a great job coaching the team the last second half of the year after the game, after Hugh Jackson got fired. It's hard to believe. I think the Bounty Gate thing is still hanging over his head. I think that's why he didn't get the job. Am I wrong?
I hope you're right, but I'm not sure that you are.
Okay.
I hope you're right, but not sure that you are. But the reason why I like the Kitchens hiring is because it gives some sort of consistency to a young quarterback in Baker Mayfield who they're trying to develop.
Right.
Personally, I think the Browns hold pat in this particular section of success. Maybe they get to 8-8, especially with the Steelers trending downward, where I had previously seen them getting swept. Now they're probably more likely to split. So that's definitely one of those wins compared to the 6 I predicted before. Yeah, I know they finished with 7, but I'm still taking credit for the fact that I'm only 1 game off. Just saying. And yeah, I think you have the makings of a good mid-range team, and Browns fans will have something to talk about other than despair.
I mean, this team was 7-8-1 this year. They were only a game off from the prediction. You look at the rest of the division, as we discussed a little while ago, it isn't far-fetched to think that this team can actually win the division next year.
I don't see them getting past the Ravens, not credibly.
Okay.
But again,
the Harbaugh thing. Now, if Harbaugh's not there, that's up to the year.
Harbaugh's not going anywhere. I'm just not prepared to just think they'll do something that stupid.
All things equal, Harbaugh stays. Steelers still have they get their shit together. It's going to be the same old. Those two teams will be on top of the division. But I do think if there is some, in the Steelers case, more cracks in the armor between now and training camp, and the Ravens say John Harbaugh is not the coach anymore, I think the Browns might be the favorite.
Well, they're going to have an opportunity. The best case for them is to sneak in a 9-7 into the playoffs.
Right.
They're not going to win the division. I can't. Granted, that depends on the draft, who the Ravens and Browns acquire. I could change my mind on this, but based on the information I have in front of me, the best case is a 9-7.
Right. Okay, other coach. Okay, you said Vic Fangio, Denver. You like that move?
I do not. Actually, I mean, not to say that Fangio's a bad coach and maybe he'll do a good job, but that team is so solid on defense by comparison. You need an offensive guy.
I agree.
Listen, and maybe the fact that, LaFleur's already off the table, you couldn't land Arians, maybe this was the best remaining hire. I don't know. But the punchline is, I don't like getting a defense first guy into the room. I'm not feeling that.
And the word is that Todd Bowles might be his replacement in Chicago, which I like that move, if true.
Actually, Todd Bowles has been signed off to be the defensive coordinator with Bruce Arians, which I love.
Oh, really? Hold on. That as of like 2 minutes ago, because I saw something about Bowles going to Chicago.
That's the headline this morning has been having Bowles in Tampa.
Okay. I believe you. Okay. Other hires, and you mentioned Bruce Arians real quick. I think, that's not enough play, enough talk. I think that might be the most fascinating and interesting hire of this offseason. Now, let me tell you why. Bruce Arians has been known to be a quarterback whisperer. He's coached under, Big Ben to success. As a coordinator, he coached Andrew Luck rookie year. And he did well with Carson Palmer, who was at one point at that time was an MVP candidate. James Winston, as we know, is a talent. Obviously has not reached the ability we all thought he could reach to. He's now in his fifth year. His option year. They're gonna commit to him one more year. Obviously, Tampa has talent. Tampa has shown this year that when they don't fuck around, they can win some games. And James Winston, when he's not making mistakes, is actually a serviceable quarterback. I think Bruce Arians to the Buccaneers is very fascinating. I think this could be really, really good, or I don't know, man. I think there's a lot of positives with this Bruce Arians hire. Maybe I'm reaching a little bit, man, but I'm going based on Arians' history here. I love this hire, and I think if Arians can get through to James Winston, then nobody can.
Right. Fascinating is a very good word. And it's fascinating the same way that watching the movie The 300 is fascinating, right? So 500, of course, being the story of, I believe I forget if it's the Battle of Marathon or Thermopylae. I think it's Thermopylae.
Okay.
But the punchline is, you have a bunch of guys who are really good and have great skills, but they're going to eventually be overrun by one. You already know that the story is going to end in tragedy, and it's because the Bucs have decided to hitch their wagon to Jameis. I'm sorry. I'm not buying. All right? This kid is not a franchise-leading quarterback. He's just not. I think he might have been able, if he were a receiver, maybe he can get being this kind of a personality. If he were Darrelle Revis, maybe he can get away with the stuff he's doing. He cannot do it, especially in a place like Tampa, where they need the entire culture turned around. Now, that being said, since I already know that this is ill-fated, Bruce Arians has the opportunity to be King Leonidas and to make it a damn fine struggle on their way to eventual failure, but they're going to fail. Jameis Winston is the problem.
Well, see, you're just not even giving it any chance of this working. Interesting.
No, I'm not. But I'm just saying, I'm not. But if you're going to make this mistake, as Tampa has, I'm in your camp. This is the right guy, Bruce Arians, to get to do.
Oh, okay. Well, makes sense. All right. Other coaching news too. We have Matt LaFleur in Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers. You have any reaction to that? Because I got a lot of negative reaction to that.
The rumor is, or the word around the campfire is, that this is somebody who will bring a spark back to Aaron Rodgers and to get him to feel the game anew again. If that's accurate, so be it. That front office better get a damn defense in Green Bay. Ricky Tick, though.
I think the negative is because of the fact that he was the Titans OC, and the Titans offense wasn't all that great this year. But I mean, could we? I mean, is that fair to just use that as a negative? Really?
Not really, because Mariota's such a question mark, and when you're stuck riding on the blame train while he's injured, can't help the club in the tub.
Yeah. Cliff Kingsbury to Arizona after USC supposedly was not going to let him take interviews. Then they allowed him to take interviews, and now he is the head coach of Arizona. He went 35-40 as a coach at Texas Tech. A lot of people upset about this move because the assumption is that Kingsbury's not really that good a coach, and that he's getting a head coaching job already out the gate, despite being, I guess, mediocre in many people's eyes. I don't know. He supposedly he's an offensive guru. We'll see. I don't know. I find it fascinating. That's all I gotta say about that.
When people bring him up and why you should be excited about him, all they have is, oh, well, he had this quarterback and this quarterback and this quarterback. No real accomplishment. Listen, it's one of those things that's great in theory, but in practice, I don't know if it's a thing. It's kind of like communism or John Lynch as a GM. The difference is John Lynch as a GM is actually working well.
Yes, it is. Slow grind, but working. Who am I missing? I mentioned Arians. I mentioned Kingsbury, Fangio, Kitchens. Am I missing anybody else? Another hire?
Seem on point to me.
One more, I think. What am I missing? One more. Think right now. Who else had a job? Jets job still open, of course. Bengals job still open, of course. Dolphins job still open.
Miami job still open.
Yep. I think that's it. I mentioned four. I mentioned Arians. I mentioned Kingsbury. I mentioned Fangio. Freddie Kitchens. There's one more, Kyle. We're missing. Come on now.
You sure?
I'm checking to make sure. Minnesota. No. Chicago. No. Well, we did see what's his face go to Atlanta. Dirk Cutter as the OC. I like that. Well, I mean,
you know what? And Byron Leftwich is going to join Arian's staff as well in Tampa. Woo!
That's funny. No, I think I got it all. I think I got all the teams I needed to touch on. In terms of coaches. Yeah, I got it all. So Adam Gase still employed for now. We'll see. There's also a report that Mike McCarthy will only take the Jets job. You see that?
That's interesting.
Yeah.
No, I didn't see that, but I mean, I don't know why, but okay.
Anyway, Kyle, it was fun as always. Anything to promote? And oh, by the way, when is my damn shows coming out? The episodes from Dinner Time, when they're coming out, the one that was on.
Actually, I've done my part. TJ is going to drop that off Spreaker sometime this week, he assures me. So, issue your complaints to Tokyo Jameson, my friend.
Make sure, dude, puts also the iTunes account, please, so I can watch and listen to this stuff. Make it easier for people to listen to.
Again, I know you have his text, his phone now, so you can text him directly.
Wow. Duly noted, Kyle. Anyway, go ahead and plug away, babe.
Hey, man, first of all, listen, you mentioned Dinner Time already. That's going to be a good time. You, me, and TJ dropped an excellent episode. I am amazed that I had not thought of the roadblock that is having two guys named TJ and EJ.
That's true.
Situation, but, that's how long it took for you to actually be on our show.
Well,
So,
busy man. I can't help that, Kyle. Busy man.
Yeah, right. You dominate the busy man field. Okay. Anyways, so, well, I mean, you got to keep your house in order because, your wife's all ticked off that Bohemian Rhapsody got the Golden Globe, so you got to get her right. Anyways, no, but the whole situation, shouts to Mrs. Christian, by the way.
Yes.
The whole situation going down on Hilarity by Default. We are back in the swing of things. Demos and I are recording again tonight. We will be going over the original version of Casino Royale. That will probably post later this month, but you're looking for good things from Hilarity by Default's Default Assault there as well. You mentioned Dinner Time already. I will be back in the saddle very shortly for the Dolphins Wire. The season's over, but there's still plenty to go over, probably surrounding when there's an eventual hire at coach, perhaps. Antoine Staley's been nailing it with the speculation in the meantime. And, of course, on Blue HQ Media, check out my playoff previews. While UCF may be done, there's still football to be talked about. I will be going to the East-West Shrine game on January 19th to cover that, so look out for that when that's upcoming. Hey, by the way, I didn't know that Louisiana was considered a team in the West, but that's a thing. And LSU's Nick Brossett is one of the guys that's actually on the roster. So there you go.
Oh, by the way, before you go, we didn't go over the Eagles and whether or not they will beat the Saints next week. You haven't a chance?
Oh, we did not. I'll give you the short version on that. The Saints win, but bet the Eagles, because last I saw the spread was 8. It's going to be closer than that.
And also, if the Eagles, for some reason, let's say Foles does this whole thing and they go to the Super Bowl, win it, do you have to address the idea of maybe keeping Foles and trading Wentz? Or no?
Well, I'll put it this way. You've heard me utter the phrase, you can't help the club in the tub. If that's believed by the front office, look out for some controversy.
Mm-hmm. Well, I got to say about that. I'm sure we'll talk about it more next week if the Eagles do advance to conference championship. So, just saying.
Yeah, man. No, that's a great point by you. But actually, listen, as we discuss that in the future, I want you to keep a name in mind. Matt Schaub. Very interesting concept going on there. That's what I'll tease for the next time.
Wait, the Matt Schaub?
The Matt Schaub, yes.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
A little bit of a teaser for you. Maybe you'll think of why I might be drawing that parallel with Nick Foles in the future episode there. And if not, I'll school you just again as I did today.
Oh,
Until
Lord.
Next
Here
time,
we go. Here we
Ernest
go.
Chris.
There we go.
That's dismissed.